Hello, dear students. In this lecture, we discuss first topic in our course, Econ 121. The name of topic is Introduction to Economics. In this topic, we see very important part related with the different definitions of economics and very important next point, scope of economics. So let's start with definitions of economics. Science of wealth. In the 18th century, Adam Smith, the father of classical economics, defined economics in his well-known book, Wealth of Nations, as an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nation. So according to Adam Smith, economics was concerned with an inquiry in the nature and causes of wealth of nations. Thereby, economists called economics the science of wealth. According to French economist J.B. says, economics is the science which treats of wealth. The American economist F.A. Walker says that economics is that body of knowledge which relates to wealth. Professor Walker defined economic as the body of knowledge which relates to wealth. In this definition, a key position was assigned to wealth in the study of economics. Adam Smith and his associates treats economics as nothing more than a science of wealth. In these definitions, a key position was assigned to wealth in the study of economics. The next definition, very important definition, is given by Marshall, Dr. Marshall, and that definition is known as Marshallian definition. And it is related in this definition, he focused on science of economics is related with the science of material welfare. So what is the definition of Marshall? Dr. Marshall defined economics as the study of man's action in the ordinary business of life. It inquires how he gets his income and how he uses it. Yes, it is on one hand a study of wealth and on the other hand, which is more important, a part of study of man. So Marshall study both wealth and economics is related with man's activity. So these 2 points focused by Marshall in his definition. Now, third important scientist, Robbins, he defined economics from the point of view as science of scarcity or science of choice. Professor L. Robbins, Lionel Robbins, put forth his definition in 1932 in his famous book, The Nature and Significance of Economic Science. He defined economics as the science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. This definition means our wants are unlimited, but the means to satisfy these wants are strictly limited. Hence, a man has to make a choice. So he put forth the point that this economics is also called as a science of choice. Now, the modern definition, fourth definition is the modern definition, and the credit for bringing out about a revolution in economic thinking goes to Lord James Keynes. According to him, economics studies how the level of income and employment in a community are determined. Hence, this definition is also called as Keynesian definition. And what is the definition given by Keynes? Economics is defined as study of administration of scarce resource and of the determinants of income and employment. Now, the most important part from exam point of view is the scope of economics. Scope means sphere of study. We have to consider what economics studies and what lies beyond it. The scope can be studied through 4 important parts. Number 1, subject matter of economics. Then whether economics in these 4 parts, we go on in detail explaining the point about scope. So in first point, we explain what is subject matter of economics. In second point, we explain whether economics is a social science. In third, whether economics is a science or an art. And in fourth part, we discuss if economics is science, whether it is positive science or whether it is normative science. Okay. So now let's explain one by one. Here we see what is subject matter of economics. It includes very important first point, unlimited wants. Then for human wants are unlimited, but we have to satisfy these wants by creating some economic activities, but we required resources for that activities. Resources are called as scarce resources: land, labor, capital, and organization. And with the help of economic activities, we generate money in terms of rewards, like rent. What are the examples of reward? Rent. For land, we have to pay rent. For labor, we have to pay wages. For capital, we have to pay interest. And for organization, is related with the profit. Okay. And with the help of these rewards, we satisfy our needs. Okay, means acquisition of goods and services. We satisfy our needs, and with the help of these needs, if we satisfy our basic needs, okay, then we that is the end point, that is satisfaction. Again, if your first want is satisfied, another wants takes its place. So this is the never ending cycle, and it included in subject matter of economics. Okay. So we see in detail about the subject matter. It is divided into two parts: traditional approach and modern approach. In traditional approach, we see the economics has subject matter of its own. Economics studies only one aspect of man's life and work. It only tells us how a man utilizes his limited resources for the satisfaction of unlimited wants. He must spend the money and time to derive maximum satisfaction. This is subject matter of economics. Then in this traditional approach, we also explain very important the part, economic activities. What is economic activities? If we look around, we see that farmers, doctors, traders, teachers, etc. do their work. They are all engaged in what is called as economic activity. We may say that when man is engaged in economic activity, he is busy in earning money. What is economic activity? Everybody is engaged in that work, means everybody is busy in earning money. So he needs money to satisfy his wants. A man wants food, clothes, and shelter. To get these things, he must have money. Okay. To get money, he must work or make an effort. So efforts leads to satisfaction. Hence, wants, effort, satisfaction, sum of the subject matter of economics. Okay, when one want is satisfied, another one crop up, or some wants occur after some period of time, and again man has to satisfy that want. He has to make some effort. So this is the cycle. So everybody is engaged in this cycle. See the diagram of this cycle. The starting point is wants, economic activities is wants, then wants leads to efforts, efforts leads to satisfaction, again satisfaction creates another wants. So this is the never ending cycle. It is included in traditional approach. Now this scope of economics, in that we have to see the subject matter. It is divided into again two parts, traditional approach and modern approach. In traditional approach, we see first activity, economic activity, and then we have to also explain the divisions of economics. So how many divisions of economics? There will be 4 divisions. Okay, consumption, production, exchange, distribution, as well as public finance. But we have to concentrate on only 4 divisions. And here modern approach, we have to explain. The modern approach is divided into 2 types, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now we see the divisions of economics. There will be very important 4 divisions of economics. That is, first one is consumption. So what is consumption? It means satisfaction of wants. Whatever you use, and by using that particular goods or services, that will create the satisfaction. That process is called as consumption in economics. Production means producing the different things or creating different types of utilities. Exchange means it includes various market forms. buying, selling, and how prices are determined. That is money, credit, banking, etc. And distribution means sharing of all that is produced or share of profit among all factors, that is workers, landlord, businessman, capitalist, etc. So this is the very important 4 divisions of economics included in which approach? Traditional approach. Okay. Now this is the point you have to explain in subject matter, traditional approach and modern approach. Now we see the modern approach. In modern approach, see this picture, modern approach is divided into 2 parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. And see what is micro? Micro means small. If you study small individual economics of small individual unit, economics of household, then economics of a firm. Firm means any company, any industry or industry. So that is the examples of comes under micro. And macro means large, means total. Here we have to see the total, whole population's income, that is national income, government, nation, world. So it included whole groups. Okay. So these are the very important points you have to understand in these 2 types of economics, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now we see what is microeconomics and macroeconomics. The subject matter or the study of economics has been divided by modern economists into 2 parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. These 2 terms were first coined and used by Ragnar Frisch. The term microeconomics is derived from the Greek word micros, meaning small, and the term macroeconomics is derived from Greek word macros, meaning large. When we are analyzing the problem of economy as a whole, it is macroeconomic study. While an analysis of behavior of any particular decision-making unit, such as a firm, industry, or consumer, constitutes microeconomics. Okay, so microeconomics is also called as price theory. This is very important point asked for your objective questions. Also, microeconomics is also called as price theory, because here we determine in this microeconomics what we have to analyze, determination of demand and supply. With the help of this demand and supply, we determine the prices of goods. And macroeconomics is called as the income method. Okay. So this is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Micro means here we study individual income. In macro, we study national income. Then in economics, we analyze the demand and supply of labor or any factor. Here in macroeconomics, we analyze total employment in the economy. Then in microeconomics deals with the households and firms decision. Here macroeconomics deals with aggregate decisions. Then here microeconomics deals with studies of individual prices. Here macro deals with study of overall price level. Micro also deals with analyzing demand and supply of goods. Here in macroeconomics, we analyze aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now, this is about the first part in scope of economics, that is subject matter. Now we see the second part. Economics is a science or an art. So here we have to explain whether economics is science or an art. But see here, economics is not only a science, but also an art. It is a science in its methodology and an art in its application. It has a theoretical aspect and is also an applied science in its practical aspects. Science, what is science? See here how the economics is related with the science part. Science is a systematized body of knowledge. A branch of knowledge becomes systematized when facts are collected and analyzed to find out a relation between cause and effect. In science, we have to find the relationship between cause and effect. It lays down general principles which helps to explain things and guide us. It is to be called a science. For example, see here, I am giving one example here. Nitrogenous fertilizer increases rice field, okay, or yield, production in case of rice. So whether we apply nitrogen fertilizer, so it increases rice production or yield. So this is also the point. Here we analyze certain this statement economically, and then we can give the results, obtain the results with the help of the analysis. Now see here, economics is also an art. An art lays down precepts or formulae to guide people who wants to achieve certain aims. For example, removal of poverty, increase in rice production. So it is also both an art in its application and a science in its theory. Hence, scope of economics is very wide indeed. So we see in this part, economics is related with science also and related with an art side also. Now, economics as a social science. Why economics is called as a social science? That is the third part of scope of economics. Economics is primarily a study of man and not of wealth, but it does not study man who has renounced the world. It studies human beings, but it does not study them as isolated individuals living in forest or in mountain caves. So it studies man living in organized society, who live in society, affecting society from their action and themselves exposed to social influence. Economics has there to study social behavior, that is, behavior of men in groups, exchanging his goods for those of others, influencing them by his action, and being influenced by them in turn. So this, hence he depends on them. Who depends? Man depends on that society, and the society also depends on man. So this is the point we have to see in this social point. So economics, hence it is called as a social science because it is related with the human behavior. Okay, human behavior, and hence this economics is called as social science. The persons living in organized society, that is very important part we have to explain in this point. Now, in the fourth point, we see the scope of economics as a positive science, whether economics is a positive science or normative science. But before that, we have to know what is positive economics and normative economics. So positive economics is the branch of economic analysis that describes the way the economy actually works. Means here we have to identify statement of fact, what is, okay, here in this branch. And normative economics makes prescriptions about the way the economy should work. Means statement of opinion. Okay, we have to give in this point statement of opinion. Means what ought to be. So what is the effect? So that is the very important point we have to study in normative economics. A forecast is a simple prediction of the future. So this is the very important example we have to see in this positive economics as well as normative economics. Now see, here I show you one picture. So positive statement means I have all the resources I need to succeed. So this is the boy, and that boy is having all resources for his study and other things also he get. And what is the effect of this? Okay, I have all the resources I need to success. Then in normative statement, here we have to define or state what ought to be. What ought to be means I am successful because I have all resources. Is it right? So this is the point we have to study positive science as well as normative science. And in economics, economics is both positive as well as normative science. So let's see the point related this. In discussing the scope of economics, we also consider whether economics is a positive or normative science. Positive science explains why and wherefore of things, that means their cause and effect. A normative science discusses the rightness or wrongness of the thing. Economics is both a positive and a normative science. For example, here, for explaining this point, I am giving one example. Per capita income of country is less, and poor persons are becoming poor and rich person becoming rich and rich. So whether it is good or bad, this sign is good or bad. If it is bad, then what should be done, etc. Okay, so economics is positive as well as normative science. Means here we explain this is not good, okay, but we have to also analyze the statement, what is and what ought to be. Positive science only explain what is, and normative science tells us what ought to be, that is right and wrong of the thing positive science describes. Now, normative science evaluates when we say, for instance, that the businessman, while making decision, use profit maximization as the criteria, it is positive economics. But when we ask or they use this criteria, we enter the field of normative economics. So there are different types of examples. With the help of that examples, we see what is positive science and what is normative science. So we have to consider whether economics can pass moral judgment, normative science, or simply explain why means of things, positive science. So economics therefore explain both positive as well as normative science. So both the study togetherly we see in this point, positive science and normative science. So these four important points comprises scope of economics. So student, again you read it carefully. Okay, thank you.